What's up, y'all? Today is the 7th of October, 2025. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. This is In the Image Clothing Company Podcast, episode 166, titled Your Life as a Journal. And we'll get into it. Shout out to the poodle. Little poodle here. My mom gave this to me for my birthday. It's a bobblehead. Meaning its head will bobble if you touch it. Okay. Yeah. Little red guitar. We'll capo him on the 6th fret, plus one more. He's on the 7th. Check this out. Let's make a little bit of music, huh? Yeah. Ooh, what do we sing to this? I've been doing all these different kind of things. I've been searching out there across the seas. I don't even know what it means to be anything but me. Rough start, and I'm starting rough, and then I'm going quick, and I'm going up, and I'm just like a dog again, barking, and then I'm all in this kind of life that I like to live, and I'm lifeguard. When I'm drowning on the waves, drowning and I need to be saved, drowning and I don't know if I'm the person in this place that knows a single thing. But I know how to sing off key. Freestyling my way through life, and I'm freestyling because I just like to go a little bit different than the rest of these people that I see doing things that I don't like, and I'm doing things, and I'm riding bikes, and I'm flying kites, and I'm just like trying to take a little bit of time with life because before you know it, it's all gone. It's gone again, and then you're all just in this kind of place where you begin to, I don't know if we need to be talking about these things that we seem to be caught in between. I mean, I think that I just say some things, and sometimes I might rhyme, and sometimes I'm just trying a little bit too hard to do the things I think I need, playing guitar and doing it how other people seem to tell me that I need to do it. I'm just sitting here with movements, doing things that are so different than everyone else does it. Do it, don't. I don't even care, bro. I'm just trying to get these knots outside of my hair again. I'm just caring then. I don't really care a bit about this, and I'm just flying under the radar, brother. Kind of just doing some things, regardless if anybody cares or not. That was a freestyle, bro. And that's how I roll. My name is Evan Strong. So I do crazy things with nylon strings. Sometimes it seems like I don't know what I'm doing. And sometimes that's the case. It sounds like somebody's singing in this house. I don't know who would be singing like that in this house. Upstairs. Somebody's totally singing. Like more so than just like me hearing singing from like a speaker or television. Anyway, what's up? Today's the 7th of October, 2025. I'm taking a little bit of a deeper dive into the authentic life. So come along with me across the seas. There's some things we need, like authenticity. I really don't know who's singing up there. Anyway, strange. I live with my grandparents and my mother, and I don't think any of them are making that sound. So I don't know what's really going on. But that's fine. That's fine, and that's fine. I don't normally. It doesn't matter what I normally do. I'm a little bit unorthodox and untraditional, and sometimes I'm switching things up quicker than I understand. And really, I'm just trying to do all that I can to let God lead. So, man, I really play guitar. I sing. I freestyle. I do lyricism. Right. Welcome. I don't know if you'll be able to hear that in the mic. Somebody is like full on singing, like almost more opera type singing even. Huh. Shocking. And I think it's even more shocking right now because what I've done up until today's date is just play usually like a pretty short amount of like fingerstyle type stuff at the beginning for a little bit of a guitar intro under in the Image Clothing Company podcast here. By the way, yeah, this is episode 166 titled Your Life as a Journal. And I already said that. I'm shocked. I'm kind of like taken back. Somebody's totally singing upstairs. I mean, it's like opera. It's like I'm sitting in a theater, although I'm sitting on the carpet on my bedroom floor. So, check it out. We're here. We'll talk about each of the four sides of In the Image Clothing Company a little bit. We'll talk about where clothing sits, and we'll do that where we do. I think that's kind of a good way to approach this, is don't worry about trying to make the intro be in the introductive part of this as far as timeline goes. We'll just get right into this. I think, this idea of being authentic, having faucets running above you, and people singing that you don't even really know who is doing so. Anyway, your life is a journal. I'll get into this. It's a little bit different not doing the intros at the beginning, but I think that's kind of the way to do it for at least sometimes, and I've done it that way. And it kind of just flows better in a way, And so here we go. But I'll at least tell you what we do here. This is in the Image Clothing Company podcast. We have discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ. We get into it in depth. We call it the truth of all things, and really that's just what it is, right? God, Jesus Christ, who we're all designed in the image of. He's the way, the truth, and the life. And there you go, right? We discuss him as he says that he is, although imperfectly is how we do that because we're imperfect, but he's perfect. And so, I've been talking on past episodes of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, recently about how I do it as I do. I date mark things, right? I'll verbally say the date and things, and I've addressed it, and you just can hear it where you can. And actually, episode 164, the last one before this, right? Episode 164, that's what I just said, of In the Image Clothing Company podcast is titled Insurance Policy. And a lot of what I said in there is things like that, where just saying the date and videos and things we do under In the Image Clothing Company itself can kind of be an insurance policy to, hey, look, this is when we were doing these things. I actually said the date in them, and you can see them kind of line up and see my body change through it, right, as we allow the body to work what we do under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, right, through clothing and just, our daily lives and just keeping the body unaltered. So that's what we talk about in our intros, but I won't do that quite right now for some reason. I just feel like I'm not supposed to do it right yet. So there's this idea of life needing to go smoothly. And I've heard this phrase before where people say, if you're not moving forward, you're moving backward. And what? That never made any sense to me. Where are you going to move backward to? You can't go into the past. And just time continually does its thing, but we're really just in the present always. It's funny because what this ends up doing for us as human beings is a lot of times we get this idea as people, it's highly probable for us to, where we have to just continually improve constantly in all ways, and we can never have a single setback. And if we're not at a better place before we even can be, then we're doing something wrong, and and then we get all like worried and stuff because somebody else told us something that wasn't true. Can you see the poodle? You can see the poodle. It's just that it's right behind something that's being displayed on this monitor screen, so I can't actually see it in the monitor right now. So I was like, is it not there? In the Image Clothing Company Poodle is one of our fourths, Stick around for it. We'll talk about it if we can get to the intro in this before it cuts. I like this. There's a little bit of a different approach that I'm taking to these filming these episodes, and we're just in a different phase with this because of where I've gotten to as the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. And that's what I'm saying is, you know, life as a journal entry, and your life, it's just a journal. Journals aren't smooth, they're not fluent. What really creates a good journal entry for us to look back on isn't, looking back and seeing, all right, yesterday I was a little bit less good than today, hypothetically, right? And the day before I was a little bit less good than that, and the day before I was, not quite as good as that day, and just kind of keeps going, downhill backward because I'm just climbing a mountain until I die. That's what people kind of make us try to believe as human beings. Like, you either improving at a continual rate or else you're not doing anything right in your life. You hear these kind of things from people, or at least you hear this intention coming behind what people are saying to you. I've heard it. I've heard people say it to other people. I've heard it many times, in many different instances. Oh yeah, definitely. And that's just not how life is. Life is very unpredictable. Unorthodox and untraditional. It's like a fishing hole, right? You just take a cast with your fishing pole, you never know what you're gonna get. As I say, right? That's what I'm talking about. Life is not the same. Life's not this linear progression where you're just like climbing up this perfect 45-degree ascending angle toward heaven. No. Life's not a stairway to heaven. Life's like an obstacle course. It's an obstacle, of course, right? A stumbling block, something placed in your way to see if you can overcome it. This is what life is. It's full of trials and challenges for us to overcome and get stronger as we go. And what that comes with is a lot of what you could call backsliding, what you could call 18 steps back and then maybe a step and a half forward until you stub your toe, and then you sit there for 3 weeks, and then you might make another step, and now you're just partially back to where you were. But eventually you might get past the point that you thought you were already at. Do you see what I mean? This is what life really is it's unpredictable, brother. And what makes a good journal entry, what I was starting to say there, and what makes a good story is something you cannot predict. So many stories people write, and it's just such a cliche, and we don't like them. sometimes, times and places. We're not so interested, though, and involved in engrossed in cliche stories or in things that are just easily predictable. That's not what we like as human beings because we like the challenge. You claim you want an easy life, but you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. You do not. Adam fell. The fall of Adam, right at the beginning. In the beginning, God created the earth in 7 days. Well, 6 days, and then he took a rest on the seventh. On the 6th day, he created a human being named Adam, and then, he took a rib out of Adam, and he created him a helpmeet, Eve, his wife. And those two human beings created he them, as it says, actually, worded that way. God created mankind in his image, okay? Adam and Eve, they fell, they sinned, they did something God told them not to. They partook of the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, which was basically the only thing that God said, please don't do this. Do anything else you ever want to do in this perfect Garden of Eden that I created for you, other than eating from this tree, because there's fruit on it that'll let you know what's good and what's bad. And, well, Eve took it, ate it, and then shared it with Adam. And then, yeah, that was the first sin. And that's the fall of Adam, right? They were in a perfect place. They were perfect people, essentially. I mean, they were. And then they did something wrong. And, it's like, well, why would they? Why would they? Why would they? Well, Adam fell that men might be, and men are, that they might have joy. That's a phrase of scripture in the Book of Mormon. Shout out to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which I am a very grateful human being to be a member of. I think I'll kind of word that the way that I do, and so I did. What's up with that, bro? I love it. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I just got back from an institute class, right? Just a weeknight class, if you will, at the church. Just about an hour ago, give or take. Yeah. I love it. I love it, and I love it. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I love it. I really do. And you know, what that scripture really means, and I've talked about it here before on the Image Clothing Company podcast, I'll mention it for this discussion, you know, because it goes right along with this. The reason why Adam fell, why Adam sinned, why Adam made a mistake, right? Have a nice trip. See you next fall, when somebody just like topples over. See what I mean? Building your stairway to heaven, and all of a sudden a brick slips loose, and next thing you know, you took a step backward when everybody else told you had to have a linear progression, or else you're not doing good enough in your life, right? But that's the thing. That's what we focus on, is falling. It's like, man, I made a mistake. Shoot. What'd you learn from it? Right? The reason Adam fell was so that we could have joy. Because if you don't know the difference between good and evil, then you don't know anything. And then everything's just kind of like pointless, right? We live for the good days because we know what it's like to have not such a good day, and we just, you know, cherish the good times, right? Cherish it. An episode of the InTheImageClothingCompany podcast. But there's a lot in our lives that can really be the best story that we could ever have. I mean, that's the thing. You look back on your past, and what do you really remember? You know, do you remember just like, I went 30 years at one point just completely improving every day the exact same as the day before? Or do you look back on your past and be like, remember this crazy time we had this ridiculous experience and we thought we knew what we were going to do this day, and it just did not go at all how it was planned? But like, it was quite the adventure. You know, it was a setback, but it was a good journal entry, a good memory. I mean, it's something you actually remember more than anything else, really. That's just like some blissful, easygoing thing in life, you know? That's what you remember in life. That's what makes the good stories and the good journal entries. That's what makes good movie titles. Well, sure, yes, but also plots, right? They write in movies what they call the hero's journey. And I don't know exactly how it's laid out to word it properly, like how they say it is right now, but, you know, it's like there's the intro, then there's, you know, something happens, and there's a protagonist, which is a good guy, and there's an antagonist, which is a bad guy, and there's just some things that happen along the way, and then there's the climax when it gets to the peak of the craziness, and then it kind of like fizzles out, and, you know, there's all this journey throughout it. It's not like, it's not a good movie. Really, I mean, who wants to watch a movie that, you know, it starts just kind of like at 0 and it ends at 10, if you will, and it just goes, all right, we start the movie, and then here's scene 1 and scene 2 and scene 3. Can anybody guess what's coming next? It's scene 4. Scene 5 is coming up, and now it's scene 6, scene 7, scene 8. Do you guys know where we're headed with this? Now we're at scene 9. Do you know what comes next? Oh, it's scene 10. The movie's over. You know, just a predictable, boring, linear movie. I mean, that's not fun. It's not memorable. It's not even, like, worth our time, you know? That's what we'd be saying. Most of us, like, I mean, it wasn't enjoyable. There was no tension in it. There was no anticipation. There was no, like, sitting on the edge of my seat wondering what's coming next, because, well, I'm just always linearly progressing through life. Tomorrow I'll just improve the same amount that I did from yesterday to today, you know? Life's just so easy. So, right? The movie, well, it'll just be number 7 next. It's number 6 right now, you know, as far as like, just like counting through the scenes of the movie, I guess, right? That's not what we like, man. We like things that are weird and different and confusing and complex and deep and hard. We like things that are hard, man. Life as a journal entry. If you actually journal, I don't journal, but what I do is make videos, and I've done this my whole life since I got my own device of any kind to be able to make a video with. And actually, before I had any kind of like device in the, you know, in our modern technology kind of way, you know, anything like that, I had a camera, a little like digital camera. My mom gave it to me. I was set up on the shelf in the living room in this house, actually. Yep. And we had this like little cushion to the couch. It was like a spare cushion. I put it on the floor. And I used to do a lot of flips, you know, a lot of parkour outside and in gyms and just wherever, you know, front flips, back flips, side flips, Webster's, gainers. I've talked about this before under In The Image Clothing Company content. You know, I damaged my body in a lot of ways because of the clothing I was wearing during this, and, you know, the patternings that we get into as human beings, the right-handed world, you know, and also just doing these flips in ways that I wasn't doing them all that well, but a big part was because of the clothing I was within, okay? And we talk about it. The main side of In the Image Clothing Company, we discuss the anatomy of the human body in depth, right? Allowing the body to work. So, I would just kind of like run across the ground on the carpet and just do like a flip, like a side flip or a front flip onto this little couch cushion. And I'd film it with my little digital camera just sit on the shelf there, right? Just filming myself. And so I make videos, and I've made a lot of videos throughout my life, and I don't have just about any of them. Through my teenage years, into my early 20s, I made so many videos. A lot. And then I kind of just threw my entire life away when I was about 23. I'm 26 now, years old. I started following God. Everything changed. It's undeniable. I mean, you just look at me. Just even the things documented under In the Image Clothing Company from a little over a year ago from today's date when it was founded by me, right? I've changed even in that time, and in the past couple years before then, I changed a lot as well. Okay, I grew. A lot got stripped from me. I literally almost just started crying. I didn't even feel like I was getting emotional. Oh, shoot, I didn't think that was gonna hit me like that because I'm not like trying to tell some like story, and it's a good thing. I literally almost just started tearing up just like immediately right then. A lot got stripped from me. I got my car got totaled. I quit my job. I had a girlfriend for a little while, and I thought we were gonna actually get married, seriously, even though it was like a short little fling. I removed my records from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for about 13 months and then got rebaptized. I ran completely out of money for the first time in my life, and then I've pretty much been out of money since then. And I've been taken care of, in all the ways that I've needed to be. I got new, accounts of everything, a new cell phone number, all new accounts in any way that means. I got rid of all my social media accounts, which is something we have at this time. Who knows how long that's even a thing in the ways that it is, but I had that for 10 years, social media accounts. When I was 23, I deleted all of them. You could search up the name Evan Strong on the internet at that time, and you wouldn't find anything except for maybe like, I don't know, high school records or something, right? I don't know, but I sold my camera, not that little digital camera, but I had a professional mirrorless camera, a Sony A7R Mark II. Oh, shoot. I used to be a photographer, and I sold my camera. I sold my mountain bike. I had a 2015 Stump Jumper by Specialized. It was actually a really good bike, and I was really into mountain biking, and I'd mountain bike everywhere all the time. For years I did. I sold my dirt bike. I had a Yamaha YZ250F, a full-on race bike. I sold it. I had a laptop. I sold that. It was a nice one. I got rid of my cell phone completely. I didn't have a cell phone at all, like not even a device to like use to access anything with. Not only just the cell phone plan, like to be able to use the internet or call or text, but no, I mean, I didn't even use one for like 4 to 6 months. Yeah, last year in 2024. It was at least that long. I just started walking all the time, and just not having any distractions and not having anything influence me. And oh my gosh, it's crazy, man. I mean, this is nuts. It's like I don't realize what goes on in my life sometimes because it's such a drastic shock. I got rid of every item of clothing I ever had and got an entirely new wardrobe. I got rid of just about everything that I ever acquired or accumulated throughout my entire life, physical, tangible, possession-wise, in that time period. Oh, shoot. Yeah. And then, I just didn't really have much of anything, and not out of any kind of complaint. I mean, I still was being taken care of, and I still had a place to live, and everything was just fine like that. But as far as everything that was me, it wasn't there anymore. And that's funny, right? Is because who are we really? I'm a son of God. I'm Jesus Christ's kid, and that's all that really matters. And that's what that helped me be able to see deeper than I saw before. So I started reading scriptures for the first time in my life. Started reading the Bible. I really started reading the New Testament deeply in the Holy Bible. Um, a lot happened, man. I mean, I stripped everything from my life, and everything got stripped from my life as well. I mean, it was crazy. I had guitars. At that time I had like 17 guitars probably by then, give or take. Like 2024, last year at least is what I mean. I got rid of all my guitars at one point. I did that at least a couple times. So I wasn't playing any music. I wasn't listening to any music. I still don't listen to any music, actually. Like, since this whole time when all this, got stripped from me, yeah, I still don't listen to any music. And music used to be my life. I mean, you pretty much wouldn't catch me without, meaning you wouldn't see me or find me without things in my ears, right? Those little earbuds, earphones, which really alter the cartilage in our ears and our jaw and our whole body. Or over ear headphones, I wore those as well. Or I'd just be listening to music. I'd be making music, rapping, producing rap songs with other people's beats. I mean, I pretty much didn't have a moment in my life when I wasn't listening to music, before this time. And then now, yeah, I don't even listen to music at all. I actually kind of avoid it when I just kind of like come across it being played somewhere. And you just never expect this stuff. You can't. I mean, you can't. God's in charge if you let him be, and you can never expect where he's going to take you, right? Sometimes we don't plan things, other times we think we do. That's something I say. I mean, yeah, man. You never could expect God. He works in mysterious ways, higher and holier than we could ever work. So anyway, I mean, there's probably more that I'm just not really realizing right now that got stripped from me completely. And, I stopped sleeping with a pillow, which is really good for the body, but it just was different. It was the first time since I started driving at 16 years old that I didn't have my own car. Really, I actually had my own car when I was 15 years old. My dad actually bought me my first car. It was $1,000 US, and it didn't run. But, once we actually finally got it running, which that took a while to have that be the case, for many reasons. But it was actually a good car, a little 1996 Geo Tracker with 4 doors. It was painted blue, like a pretty light blue, different color than they naturally come in from the factory. And I had like 4 cars at that point, up until then, and then it was when my car got totaled. That was the first time I hadn't had my own way of just getting around and having transportation. So that was really different for me. There was a lot of things I just didn't have that I always had, and my life was just so different than it pretty much had always been, at least, for quite a few years. Uh-huh. And that's a shock, I love change. I love it. I love change so much. But it's like just about everything got stripped, except for me. It's like all that was left was Evan Strong. Really, I mean it. Like I really, really mean it. I mean, I couldn't make it more real. I got pretty much everything stripped from me. All my childhood friends. I moved. Yeah, yeah, I mean, I haven't seen my childhood friends in a couple of years really at all, and that's, that's fine. But it's just that it was different. Everything was different. Everything. I mean, it's so different. Oh, shoot, man. That's weird. I mean, it's like I don't realize it. My life has always been crazy. It's always been like a movie. There's this line by Bobby, right? Robert Bryson Hall Jr. the third. I think that's actually his full name, but Logic, the rapper, yeah, is what he goes by. There's a line in one of his songs where he says, "This life is like a simulation, man. It has to be. Walk through the world, the whole thing is one giant catastrophe. I speak on mental health and people laugh at me. So I tapped out, retired because I felt wrapped out. So I mapped out, just me and my fam. I don't give a darn. Living day to day just like the normal man I am, bringing it back to the reason I began at the start." Anyway, spitting syllables at will at the open mic after dark. Um, the point is though that line, it goes on. That's part of one of his songs, Logic, the rapper. And I didn't I changed a word or two in there. I did, so slightly paraphrasing, but you know, this life is like a simulation, man. It has to be. Walk through the world, the whole thing is one giant catastrophe. I mean, that's what Logic says in that song. It's like, you know, yeah, yeah, the world's crazy, man. I mean, it's like a simulation. I mean, when you kind of wake up, not some kind of philosophical Matrix kind of like movie scene, but the reason they make those movies is because that's how life is. And some people see it and some people don't. Some people are really trapped in this whole like, if you're not moving forward, you're moving backward. And they're like this robotic crazo who's in a delusional state of thinking you can actually have that be the case. And then there's just the truth of life where, I mean, things just happen. And it's crazy. Life is like a simulation, brother. It's like it was all, what? Foreordained. Preordained, right? It was. I mean, God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. He's the all-searching eye. He's the knower of all things. If we can word it like that, that just sounds kind of strange to me. But that's the truth. I mean, yeah, God planned all this out. He has a plan for all of us, and he knows everything before it's going to happen. This life, essentially, kind of in a sense, maybe partially it could be, without trying to sound philosophical, is a simulation. All right? It is the Matrix. I mean, it really is. I don't need to, but I kind of have felt this need to sort of shy away from words like that, because I don't want people to get misled. You say life's a simulation, and you say it's just a matrix, and you say it's all just, you know, whatever you say like that, and people are like, then coming up with their own conclusions on what life is, instead of just saying, well, God's in charge, and he already knows everything before it's going to happen. Well, that in itself is like the same explanation you give when, saying it's a matrix and it's all just kind of like planned out for us. Well, it is. But we need to have the right context on the truth, right? Rather than coming to our own conclusions on, well, then how does the matrix work? And, you see what I'm saying? Well, it's God orchestrating everything, and he really is in charge. And to us, we get so shocked by things in life, but God's like, I mean, I already planned this out before it happened. I mean, you're good, dude. Have some faith, I know you think sometimes that you're just going to be like 5% better tomorrow and the next day and the next day, or however many percentiles it would be to just evenly be the same amount of better the next day that you were the day before until you die, right? No, life's like a journal of, that dog you loved so much. Shout out to In the Image Clothing Company poodles, right? One day Nita will die. My first poodle that I don't even have yet. It's like, yeah, I'll love her to death, but then it'll come. See what I mean? Still love her afterwards, just the same. Just like I love her now before I have her, right? I mean, life's just like a journal entry where, you write about the dog that died that you loved so much, but when you go back and read that journal entry, it's like, even though you were so sad at the time of writing it, now it's a joyous occasion, It's like you sit there, it's a joyous occasion. But you sit there and read that journal entry, and it's like, man, this brings back good memories. I remember this dog that I loved so much, and I'm glad that I wrote about it. It was hard for me at the time to lose him or her, right? Let's say, hypothetically, but I'm really glad to have the memory of the day that I wrote this after losing the dog, like, shoot, yeah, it's a good journal entry, which was really one of the hardest days of your life, maybe. You see what I mean? And this is what life is, your life is a journal where the memorable things are the things that we maybe would say we never want to happen. Like if we had to say over it and we're just like, I'm just kind of gonna never let anything bad happen to me. Shout out to Finding Nemo by Disney, right? When Marlin, who's Nemo's dad, doesn't want anything bad to happen to him, and Dory, which is a fish that's ending up to be their friend. Anyway, I'm sure a lot of people, at least around this time, have seen Finding Nemo by Disney. But Dory's like, well, you can't never let anything happen to him because then nothing would ever happen to him, right? I mean, that's the whole thing about life being a journal entry is you don't actually want life to just go so smooth because then there's not all these like crazy events we can tell people that happened, right? And stuff that we can write down. I mean, we read history documentations and it's exciting to us. The stuff that was so hard for them to go through, we're like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. They actually did these things. I mean, that's a good journal entry, it's stuff that they would have tried to avoid at all costs, right? But then after it happens, the people who went through it, like the survivors of some crazy, terrible thing, let's say, they're like, man, yeah, that was just such an amazing experience to be able to live through. It was hard. It was gut-wrenching. It was so emotional. It was so deep. It tore me to pieces, but it stretched me and actually grew. I actually grew from it. That's the point. We grow from these things, man. Your life as a journal. Not only your life is a journal, but your life as a journal entry in the grand journal of all that there is, right? It's like our whole life. Let's say we live a fairly long human life and you're, somewhere around 100 years old when you die. Well, your right around 100-year life, let's say, is just one journal entry in all the lives of all the human beings that just come and go on this earth. Every day people are dying. Every day people are being born. I mean, it's just what it is. It's just life. And what makes life memorable is these like rough times. These journal entries we look back on like, shoot, I just remember I was trying to do all that I could to avoid this ever happening. And then when it happened, it was like, crushing. Some like hard, tragic event. But now you're sitting there remembering it and you're reading your journal entry. You're watching a video maybe you filmed to document it. Or you're just going back in your memory bank, in your mind, right? And it doesn't have to be something written down, but that's all a journal entry is taking what's in your mind and writing it down in the sense of a written journal. And so when we look back on these things, they're actually what we cherish the most. These really deep experiences, because that's the thing is nobody wants a surface level life like that movie where it's like, okay, scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, then just up to the end of the movie. It's just like, oh, next. The whole like, that's the whole thing about people in life. They just want what's next. Well, you don't get fulfilled by your nexts. You get fulfilled by looking back on what has happened. On your journal entries of the times that you, yeah, you kind of flew by. And this is the thing, I've been looking at, well, today even, some of the earliest videos under In the Image Clothing Company content. And I've been thinking about this, as we're getting to where we are now. That's a great way to say that. Check that out. Yeah, I've been looking back and things were kind of different at the very beginning. Some of those videos I've been thinking, man, should I even keep those there? I can keep them, like save the videos somewhere, but should they be public on In the Image Clothing Company? Like some of the very first videos that are, I kind of look at them and like, man, I was an entirely different person. Is that okay to stay there, or should it be kind of cleaned up a little bit and we just keep only the newer ones? And now that I've kind of like settled into knowing what I'm doing better with this, but and I think either end is okay, and just praying through like, what should stay and what shouldn't. But But I also think, it could all stay. Just in any case of what this could mean. Anybody looking at their life and things that they've started, and maybe, wanting to change, how it was at the beginning, once they've gotten a certain distance or like way into it. Dallas Jenkins, the creator of The Chosen, the TV show that's a life of, well, it's a depiction of the life of Jesus Christ. I love the show, by the way. I've referenced it on the Image Clothing Company podcast, and watch it if you'd like to. It's he says he'll do all he can to always make it available free for everybody to view forever. That's his goal, and that's awesome. But he's talked about how people have had been in conversation with him, comparing season one, like the very first one, to the most current one they're on, because they're still filming it. They're not quite to the end of the production, right? Because it's about the life of Jesus Christ, so it'll end with, it'll end at some point because God died. Shoot, you hear me stutter through this kind of stuff? Because Jesus Christ got crucified, and then he did rise again the third day after he died, and he lives today. But as far as his mortal life, yeah, their show will end, and depicting the life of Jesus Christ, The Chosen, the TV show. And Dallas, the creator of The Chosen, he's talked about, when he has been in conversations and people compared the very first season to, the seasons they're on, and season 4, let's say, and like into it a little bit deeper, where it's improved so much since the start. He's like, well, I don't know. I love season 1. It shows where we've come from. It shows all the improvement we've made up until today, because you can see the contrast of us getting better at what we do as we do it. And that's what I'm saying with this. I've kind of been looking back at those videos, those very first videos under In the Image Clothing Company, back in 2024, for example, because it was only the last few months of 2024 that I was making videos there, and then now, we've had most all of 2025 up until this point, where I'm just doing things so much more, you could say, put together, right? Just because I've had more practice with it, and it's a little bit more proper in ways, definitely. But what those first videos do is the same as what Dallas Jenkins was talking about with his first season of his TV show, The Chosen. It really shows where we've come. And so that's why I said, before really going into this explanation like I did, that it'd be okay to always leave those videos there, even if some of the information isn't quite exactly correct and valid, right? Just because, I mean, the gist of what I was saying was correct, but my depth of understanding in it wasn't to the degree that it just was as time progressed. It's like, well, I mean, it just shows the growth, and it's good for people to be able to see that. And that's really what makes it credible too, as you see what was different at the beginning versus now. And you can see the highs and the lows along the way as well. And so that's the thing, is life is a journal entry. Life is like, well, we can go back to Logic, the rapper's line. This life is like a simulation, man. It has to be, Oh, man. But I think that's a huge thing, is documenting things. I remember one of my friends was talking about something that somebody else said. Talk about secondhand information. Doesn't matter who said this. I just that somebody told me this years back. They were like, talking about how it's better to just document rather than try to produce content or something. Just document. Don't try to make something, but just record things. Whether it is written or video or audio or whatever. I mean, or even just in the time you spend doing anything you do in life. Don't try to do it to like make something happen. Just try to do it so you can remember it. It's like life's like a journal. It's something you will always look back on, because we're only getting older as human beings until we die. And so as you look back, it's like, well, what are you gonna tell your grandkids if you have them, right? Or just people. When you're an older person than somebody else, you're somebody's elder, meaning elder than them, older than them. Okay, catch the phrasing. Yeah. And they're sitting there, and you just lived a different life than them because the world was different when you were their age. And I mean, what are you going to tell them? You're going to tell them that just life was so smooth and went all perfect, and they're like, oh, great, bye. Or are you going to tell them all these hard stories that are things that were kind of hard for you to even accept at the time, stuff you never wanted to go through, and stuff that maybe at certain times in your life you're looking back on like, man, I wish I could just like erase that from my memory, right? I mean, we don't want to be trying to erase things from our memories because everything happens. And we can get all cliche with it, right? Everything happens for a reason. And yeah, it does. But really just meaning everything's happened, and regardless, yeah, there's a reason. I mean, that's the point. It's just that I don't want it to seem like some kind of surface level cliche thing, like I just have some topic where I don't know much of what I'm saying, but I just have some like line that I heard on some place that someone wrote it, and I happened to read it, and I wanted to sound smart. Like, that's what I mean, right? That's the whole linear progression of life. People think is, yes, go through life, read books, get smart, get improved every day, become a better version of you tomorrow and the next day until you meet your grave. It's like, that's not how it works, bro. Improve all you want until one day something happens that sets you back, that was out of your control, right? Everyone knows what they're doing until they don't. Everyone's got the answers until they don't. You always hit something. You always hit a wall, God's in charge, and sometimes he just kind of has things that are placed in our path that we could call whatever and put some kind of like bad labeling on, like, man, I wish I never had to do that. But really, God wanted us to go through those things so that we could grow, so that we could have good stories from it. Not just for the sake of telling stories alone, but that's good as well because people can learn from our stories. For us to grow, though, and just to really deepen ourselves. I mean, just to deepen us, man. That's the whole thing about life is what's the point? If you don't know what the point of life is, then you probably think it's just to get better and better and better and better and better every day, and then just get in front of the next guy and on top of them and always win, and I'm gonna do it, and it's all about me, and I've achieved it, and then I'm at the very top of life and I die. And that's the thing. People have those kind of views on life. And so that's the kind of people that are telling you, if you're not moving forward, you're moving backward. And it's like, backward to where? Back to my bed? Rather not work this morning then. I'm fine moving backward if I can go take a nap. You see what I'm saying? It's like, what are you talking about? People don't know what they're talking about. There's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled, You Don't Know What You're Talking About. I don't mean to be prideful, but I mean, just you can't look at life all surface level. There's so much to life. And a lot of people will write in their journal entries the same way that they portray themselves to other human beings on the earth in any kind of way. This often happens. They'll be like, telling you their highlight reel of their life and everything good that always happens to them, but there's only like 3 things in the past 4 months that were good that happened, and so they'll just like dive into those stories but won't tell you all the hardships they're going through. But it's those hardships where the deepening happens. That's what I mean. It's those journal entries of your dead dog. It's like, that's the stuff you want to cherish, and other people actually really want to hear from you. That's the stuff you want to tell your grandkids. Like, yeah, I know that you guys have dogs as well, and I had a dog that I loved so much, and I never wanted him to die, but one day he did. And you know what I learned after that? Is that life goes on. And we have these hard moments, when our dogs die. Our family members die. Our plans get ruined and soiled, and we get broken up with. Things come into our life that we don't want to have to deal with, we never could have expected, and we've maybe tried all we could to avoid it, but some things are just out of our hands, kids. These are the lessons I learned when my dog died. So I know you kids love your dog, but just know, in almost every case, dogs don't live as long as people. I mean, that's what we can do with our stories, with our journal entries, with these things in our lives that are hard. Life's hard, man. It's just life, bro. It's just life, dude. It's supposed to be hard. I mean, it really is, and that's why it's good. That's why Adam fell. Men might have joy because they know the difference between the two. right? Sorrow and joy, if we could put those as opposites, right? There's opposition in all things. And the whole thing about it is your happy-go-lucky attitude and your your nothing but positive journal entries that only, were things that you had to really scrape up, underneath the carpet. Not only underneath the couch, but you ripped the carpet up to find some good stories in your past, if you see what I'm saying, Trying to find some good times to just claim that that's how life is, and that you're always linearly progressing, just meaning, continuously going upward in life, moving forward, and I'll never move backward. But you want to go back to your childhood because life's hard and you want to be a kid again. You see what I'm saying? It's all this like lying to yourself that happens if you're trying to claim that life's not hard. Yeah. And you're trying to claim that you can just keep progressing. Yeah, life's hard, brother. It's supposed to be, all right? But that's where the deepening comes from. That's where the good movies come from, is when your favorite character dies and all of a sudden you're just like, no, they didn't. I can't believe they killed off my favorite character. I don't even think I want to watch the rest of the show. But now you're like, what are they gonna do without that character? Now you're all hooked on it. Now it's like, oh shoot, now it's even a better show, a better movie. It's like, man, the stuff that we don't expect is what really makes things even better for us in life. I mean, that's what makes life so good, is that it's surprising. People like surprises. I'm not really so much one for surprises, but people like surprise parties, and that's why people like surprises, is because of stuff they didn't expect. And if you expect life to just be this whole perfect, like, tomorrow will be better than today because I'll make it be. And then the next day I'll make it be even better than that. It's like, that's so cool. So many characters in this. This is cool. It's like, no, I mean, you're not going to be content with life. You're not going to have a good time. You're not going to have any good memories, and you're not going to really actually care to live. I mean, in all seriousness, meaning you're not going to really get much out of your own life because it was like too simple, too easy. When I say simple, I mean too predictable. Life can be very simplistic, but very, very unpredictable. Ow. Didn't actually hurt, but I just think this is such a cool episode, bro. What's up, dude? Welcome. My name's Evan Strong. I do this for the rest of my life. I'm the founder of In The Image Clothing Company till the day that I die. I mean it. I really mean it. Truly, I really mean it. I just want to make that clear. I'm not making some kind of like joke. That wasn't me playing a character. I mean it, yeah. I love this. This is what it is about. That's what I mean. This is a journal entry. That's what I'm saying. I just document these things with date marks. I just sit here and anybody listening could be like me being the grandpa on the front porch swing. Sitting there on the balcony on my chair or wherever I am. You see what I mean? Just a grandpa in the recliner in the living room. I don't know, on my hospital bed, and my grandkids are sitting next to me. They've come to see me on my deathbed, right? The only time you came to visit your grandpa was when he was gonna die? Oh, children, right? See what I'm saying? And then I'm just sitting here, I'm that grandpa, and I didn't wait till my dying day, though. I'm just documenting as I go, and anybody here can be, like, my grandkids, if that makes sense. What I mean? Well, they could be literally my grandkids, too, because I'm documenting this. It'll live on forever, okay, under the gift of video. That's what I'm saying, truly. That's what the point of this is. These are my journal entries, and I don't want to make it all about me, because it's not. In the Image Clothing Company, we'll have our whole team, and we'll have a lot that we do, and it's not just all about Evan Strong. But in a lot of ways, as the founder and as me being like such a prominent figure in this, because I always will be leading this thing, okay, In The Image Clothing Company and Evan Strong are one is an episode of In The Image Clothing Company Podcast. But what I'm saying here, bro, is life's just like a journal, I mean, it's just like, that's what we get more of, more from. We get more from looking back on things that have happened in our past than we do trying to seek for things to come in the future. See what I mean? There's really kind of no such thing as either one at all, actually. And we've got episodes of In The Image Clothing Company podcast specifically talking about that. One eternal round, the day that never comes, Those are a couple episodes of In the Image Clothing Company podcast where we just only live in the present. Yeah, truly, under the gift of video. Because even though I'm recording this before you listen to it, you're only hearing my words now. It's like, what? Yeah, that's the truth. Crazy. Anyway, I think it's a beautiful thing to kind of relate this to just how God works, where I did an episode of Metronome Madness today, which is, where I just kind of go off the top with lyricism, meaning just freestyle it. I don't necessarily stay on tempo. There's no kind of like beat behind me. I just, do it as I do, gospel of Jesus Christ type messages. There's water coming from the plumbing above me. That's fine. I loved it though. Episode 30 of In the Image Clothing Company In the Image Clothing Company Music's Metronome Madness. And 1/4 of In the Image Clothing Company, we make music as one of the things we do. There's a lot more to it than just making music. There's a lot of intentionality and reason behind, why we do how we do it. But that's one of the things is giving discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ, kind of like what we do here under In the Image Clothing Company podcast, although it's through an avenue of music, and it's really great. I'm so grateful to be able to do it. I've just been given the gift of being able to speak well and work with words well and rhyme well, and it's amazing. And that's what I mean is, anyway, these things they're like journal entries. I don't remember exactly where I was before I started mentioning that episode of Metronome Madness, because that one really hit me today. It was really cool. My own words are some things that in times I need to hear as well. Seriously. When I used to produce rap songs, I don't mean to make it sound like some big thing. I just did it, on my own little cell phone device. But I did produce them other than making the beat. I put it all together and, in every other way besides that. And sometimes I'd listen to my own songs back, and they would actually uplift me. And I needed to hear the words that I put into my own songs at times later down the road. And that's what I'm saying. I remembered why I was mentioning Metronome Madness, episode 30, because one thing I said in there was, it was rhyming and within lyricism, but I was talking about how that's one of the biggest ways that we see what God's really doing in our life is we look back on what he has done for us in the past. That's one of the biggest ways that we are able to have faith for things to come, is seeing, well, in the past, what have I experienced going up against that I didn't think there was any way possibly out of, and then God made a way, right? The waymaker. God's parting seas, moving mountains, standing in the fire with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and none of them are burned. He's always making a way for things to happen that he needs done. Not just because we want something done. He's not going to do that for us just because we think it should. But anything he needs done, there's no way. God is above all. There's no there's no stopping him. There is no stopping God. And I'm going to sit on that for a second. I'm going to stand on that for the rest of eternity because that's the truth. Yeah. No. If God has a plan for you, he's going to make it happen. Nothing will get in his way. It's not about getting in your way because it's his plan for you, but it's his plan. You're just, the one making it happen, like, physically. You see what I mean? He's just doing it through you, or me, is the point. And, sometimes it's hard to kind of have faith for things that we don't really see how it could actually happen, but we kind of know that it is going to, and it should. We've just been told and been confirmed it to by God. Like, yeah, no, just have faith. It's going to happen. He tells us, but one way that can really be remedied, right? Being able to be like, okay, I get it. Yeah. I don't really get how by any means, but I see that you can do the impossible because We can look back, is what I'm saying, on things he's done for us in the past, and we didn't think there was any possible way out. And we think the world's ending all the time. We think the sky's falling down, just as a general society, as a human race. It's like, oh my gosh, there's no way out. And then, before we know it, so much time has gone by, and we're like, oh, I forgot. Yeah, I didn't think there was any way. We're going to get out of that situation. And now it's like, I almost forgot it happened. See what I mean? So these are the things where that's what can really strengthen our faith going forth, is looking back on what God has done. And he's true to his word, and he's true to his character, right? God is true in all the ways. He's perfect. He never changes. And so, even looking at old prophets of, thousands of years ago, and what he did for them, he can do the same thing for you nowadays. I mean, he can still part a sea in modern 2025. It's not like, oh, well, those are the old times. It was just different back then. No, God isn't different. The world kind of looks different in ways, but God isn't. Never. God is never different. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. And so this is the whole thing about these journal entries, where life's a journal entry, and these things in our past are journal entries in our own remembrance. Man, I got caught up on that word today as well. In episode 30 of Metronome Madness, I was just trying to say memory, and the word remember, I started with an R like that, and so I said remembrance. There's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled Remember. That's one of the things that God himself, Jesus the Christ, spoke twice in a row, remember, and then he tells us whatever we need to remember, but I discussed a lot of that in that episode that's titled Remember, in the Image Clothing Company podcast. Okay, that's one of them. But the Holy Spirit of God brings all things to our remembrance. And if we can remember what God has done in our earthly life here, right? Not only remembering being in the presence of God before we came to this crazy man-made world, right? Yeah, but shoot. If we can remember the things that God has done for us in the past, when we just didn't think there was any possible way for anything to change, when we were in a situation that really was not so great to go through, if we're saying it, But those are the things that God uses to really strengthen us, Those are the journal entries that we look back on and we're like, man, yeah, shoot, that was huge. And then you hear these phrases like people say, I wouldn't change it for the world, At first going into it, it was something that's so hard, but now, I mean, even if I had the opportunity to go back and change it, nah, I couldn't imagine my life different, Not having done that thing, it's like, nah. I mean, this is what was supposed to happen. This is what God placed in my life, and I maybe didn't see it at the time, but now I'm able to look back on it and see all the progress I made through it, all the lessons I learned through it, all the growth that I had because of something I didn't want to do. See what I mean? Journal entries, brother. So what's up? I'm going to do the intro, okay? I'll talk about it as I do. Each of the four sides of In the Image Clothing Company, where clothing sits. Here we go, okay? You know what this is, In the Image Clothing Company podcast. I'm also say this. I'm doing 30 days of 50 push-ups every day, starting a couple days ago on the 5th of October. A big part of it is just to see... I mean, yes, it is partially to just see how much muscle mass I gain just from simply doing 50 push-ups a day, or 5 sets of push-ups. If I can't quite get to 50 today, I couldn't do 50 at all. I'm like, this is my third time doing it, third day of doing it since then, and I couldn't get to this 50. But a big part of it is to show the human body's only normal, right? Which is a video under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company, but also that's just the case. There's just a normal to the human body. As we say, natural, neutral, normal are synonyms within the human body. Yeah, a lot of it will be a testament of that. Just, I don't know if I'll really document it much at all, if at all, throughout these next 30 days or like 27-ish days, whatever it is at this point. 28 days. I don't know exactly. It doesn't matter for sure. To say it correct right now is what I mean. Because that's the point, is just you'll be able to see the time periods, and I date mark videos and things that we do under In the Image Clothing Company. But that's the big thing, is we'll be able to see any muscle mass that I did gain in these 30 days. It'll just go back to normal. right? Hypertrophy or musculature, man, shoot, I keep tripping up on these words, and not in a bad way. It's like bringing my attention to it in a good way. That's another one of those words I've been saying the past 2 or 3 days, and it's like tripped me up, and I don't trip up over that word. It's just it's a testament to, yes, you're saying the right things. This is good. Keep your focus where you're keeping your focus. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep pouring into this, and I will, God, for my entire life, trust you is what I will do. I'm not trying to say trust me. I'm a human being. You can't really trust me. Next thing you know, I tell you I might be there tomorrow, and I die tonight. Who knows? But what I will say is, we gain muscular size, hypertrophy, and then we get muscular atrophy, where our muscles actually lose the size we gained and go back to they're only normal once we stop working out. So it's more of a testament on that end. I mean, it's good to gain muscle, sure, whatever, but really kind of doesn't matter because of what I'm saying. There's only a normal to the human body. Unless you're doing intentional things to gain muscle, there's just a natural amount of muscle your body will have. And so we'll be able to see that, my body will just go back to how it was before I did the push-ups, when I stopped doing them, okay? But anyway, that's just a little side note to document it here on this 4th of In The Image Clothing Company and the Image Clothing Company podcast. Just the time period of these 50 push-ups every day for 30 days, starting October 3rd. Oh, no, 5th. October 5th, 2025, okay? But yes, we have discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ here. You know what this is now. We've got also In The Image Clothing Company's main side. Really where it all started, that's what we do, allowing the human body to work. Okay, there's a center line to the body, the sternum, the spine, the trachea, the nose, and our jaw. The jaw stabilizes the entire body on Earth's gravity. Gravity has a center that it pulls down on everything with. Okay, so there's a center to the body, and there's a center of gravity that need to mesh. We place clothing on our bodies, and if it doesn't stay centered, fit correct, we're all discuss here in a minute when I talk about where clothing sits, and be made from 100% natural materials, then our bodies are altered otherwise. Our bodies are only natural. Natural, neutral, normal, synonyms within the human body. There's things that are new, just decades old as of today's date, like unnatural materials just on the earth that are new, man. They're new in all senses, but then clothing gets made out of them, and often it brings stretch with it. Musculature in the body only contracts, meaning getting shorter. That's just the only way muscles can do anything. And there's opposing muscles, right? That's how that works. You can both extend your arm and, contract your arm to close the joint of the elbow. But it's muscles on opposite sides of the function just shortening. One's just relaxing while the other one's shortening, and then one's shortening while the other one's relaxing. That's just how the body works. It's just a mechanical machine placed onto a rock in space. Okay, as I say, the human body on Earth. And so, yeah, our clothing can't have stretch because it just opposes how muscles do anything. And we can't stretch the body because there's just neutrals to everything. Like the wrist here, there's a neutral position straight out from the pinky finger down the outside of the forearm, and then just motion all outside of that. There's neutrals to the rotations, both internal and external from the neutral. So you can't stretch the body anywhere. It only has the functions it has, but it has to reside in its neutrals. In every part of the body, there is one. Okay, a neutral position. It's about the skeletal system. Okay, so yeah, we just talk about clothing. We give a lot of free modifications. We talk about how we live in a right-handed world in all the ways that we do. Check out the main side of In The Image Clothing Company for a deeper discussion on this. But, yeah, right? There you go. In The Image Clothing Company clothing. It's not just about clothing, but eating, standing, sleeping, walking, sitting, breathing, hydration, just everything we do, discussing the anatomy of the human body in depth. Okay, we get out of chronic patternings and scar tissue through our information because you introduce ropes to the body, you have oversized clothing, pulling on your body's musculature, changing your body's skeletal system's positioning, imbalances in clothing just sitting on your body that just alters it, right? Our bodies really get into deep, potentially life-lasting patternings. And so we get out of these things. Okay, there you go. In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, another one of our fourths, okay, we will have dog products that apply to all dogs with the same intent behind In The Image Clothing Company clothing for human beings, staying centered on the dogs, right? We talk about keeping our collars centered because of the musculature that goes in our neck through our tops And dogs are no different, except that their collars are more uncentered. You know, we don't have like dog tags hanging off of our shirt collars usually, and our collars aren't as thick as dog collars normally. But we let dogs stay natural. Same thing as allowing the body to work, but just entirely separate in a sense, while still being all combined under all four sides of us side of In the Image Clothing Company. But yeah, through feeding and hydration of dogs and just everything that we do with our dogs, you know, slippery flooring that's just unnatural and damaging the dog's joints wouldn't be in nature, but it's inside of our houses where our dogs are often. Um, we talk about interacting with dogs, not altering our bodies as human beings while we, you know, hold leashes and things like this, you know, interact with really small dogs sometimes, you know, bending down and just what it does to our bodies and the dogs as well. There's a lot that we do. And we do events under In the Image Clothing Company. One of those is under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles. And there's subcategories, but yes, Poodle Parade events in the state of Utah here, the United States of America. Bring your poodles, man, that are purebred of any size or poodle mixes of any size. And we'll do it in nature, brother. A lot of beautiful mountains, so much beautiful nature in this beautiful desert. Seriously. It's a desert, but it's also lush in parts of the year, and it's just so I love it, right? We love Utah, man. We live up Utah under In the Image Clothing Company. If you know, you know. So yeah, kind of like family reunions, just hanging out, you know, parks, rivers, clean the creek specific poodle parade events with actually cleaning up trash, doing things for the environment. Okay, check it out, and I'll give information where I do on letting dogs stay natural as well. Okay, just along the way, as we do the things we do, as we make our journal entries, as we go progressing forth through life, taking 45 steps back and then maybe one step forward somewhere in there. Do you see what I mean? Who knows, dude? It's just life. I'm not in charge here, bro. I'm not. Nobody is, except for God. So, we've also got In the Image Clothing Company poodles. I guess I just need to hit it, bro. I keep saying it. I just talked about it. We've got one other fourth of us, but I will make it as clear as I make it, because what we do under just the bulk of how much focus we place on which fourth of In the Image Clothing Company, what we do under In the Image Clothing Company poodles, it's going to be just insane. Always a huge name in poodles, breeding purebred standard poodles, doing it properly, advocating for being a good owner of dogs, keeping less dogs in shelters and more dogs at homes, you know, debunking a lot of myths around dogs, ownership of dogs, and dogs that don't listen for simple reasons, like just noise jingling around their collars with the dog tag. It's just distracting them. I mean, there's a lot of simple solutions to things when we get down to the truth. God, I mean, really, it just is so simple, man. Life, it can be very hard, but it doesn't have to be complicated. So that's so funny. Sounds kind of like a slap in the face, but that's the truth. It really is, man. Ah, man, times and places for things, you know. I'm not ignorant to to life, but I get it. But I'm not naive, bro. But you know, it is what it is. We discuss things so deeply. You see it. There's context that we give behind the bold things we say. Okay. It sounds so funny though. If you don't know who I am, I just kind of like say some super harsh things at times. It's like, do you even know what you're talking about? I don't know. Don't believe me. Seriously, I say that often, right? It's just if it's true, it's true. Don't believe me. I love this so much. So just stick around for the poodles because it'll be just insane, bro. I want to make it as real as it is. The explanation of what's to come for those that don't know. I mean, it's gonna be crazy. We'll do so much with poodles, bro. It's gonna be just nuts. Don't think I'm trying to hype something up. I mean, I'm only saying it to prepare people. It's not because like I'm trying to get people so excited for something I think might be so cool that I have an idea of. It's like, nah, I know what's coming, and it's just gonna be sweet. Just hang out, you know. That's what I'm saying. I just kind of like a heads up. Shoot, I've never had a dog, man. I've never had a dog of my own, and we're gonna have a lot of them. We're gonna do so much for so many people, for so many dogs. Dogs are amazing. Poodles are so great at things like being a therapy dog, a service animal, an emotional support dog, and just, you know, helping people get into nature and bringing people back to basics and back to God, People can become better parents if they own dogs, as kids, but then even as an adult who already has kids. I mean, dogs can help with family dynamics. There's so much that we do under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles. I'm not joking with this, bro. Breeding, I mentioned it, but grooming, giving information on all dogs, helping a lot of people who have a neighbor that has some terribly yappy dog. And if we've got any kind of information that could help you, maybe this dude sends one of our videos to their neighbor, like, hey, this is a video under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, talks about how to lessen the yappiness to your little Pomeranian you've got over there. My wife's complaining about not getting sleep, I'm not kidding. Like, what we are going to do under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, I am saying this about it. That's what I mean. I say it how I say it because what is to come. Stick around. Or stop back in, or whatever. You don't have to do either one, but I'm just saying, don't underestimate it, right? Like, I mean it. I say it in that voice because I don't want it to be some kind of like claim. I am just, well, I put this cute little poodle here. Shout out to my mom. Like I said, she bought this for me for my birthday. And I get pretty upset with people when they buy me things that I didn't ask for. Because I'm very minimal and I don't want anything more than I need, unless, occasional things that I want, and that's okay in times and places. But people trying to do a good thing for me, they'll give me more than I asked for. I'm like, no, now what do I do with this? I feel like it's an obligation and I'm going to like litter if I get rid of it. You know what I mean? We do a lot for the environment. That's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to make some kind of like boastful claim with anything that I say. I think it's just going to be a big shock. And I don't care really who to specifically. I'm not trying to like point a finger like I told you so to a specific person. But this is good because again, journal entries, we'll look back on this when we're doing some big things and we've got a lot of dogs and we've got this big following and we're helping owners of dogs and just, we're just helping the whole earth in ways under In the Image Clothing Company down the road, even more so than we do today. And, a broader spread just because more people know about us and we have dogs and we have just the ways that we have things like products that you can, yeah. I'm just not joking. So we can look back on this as one of these journal entries and be like, oh shoot, yeah, he really did know, at least to a degree, where this was all going. He didn't know how, but he sure said it as it was. I mean it. That's why I'm documenting this. Okay, so stick around. That's what I'm saying. In the Image Clothing Company music, another one of our fourths. Man, I almost don't even want to brush past it. I said so much, but I am not joking. I'm not just like hopeful to have some cute dog and I think it'll be fun to like post some cute photographs on the internet for people who like my dog. No, dude. It'll be all it will be. And I'm just making it clear before it happens. I'm just making it clear before it happens. I made that video today. Maybe I didn't reference it in this, but under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, I titled it, What is a Doodle? Right? Which is, it's a mixed poodle. Like a golden doodle, a labradoodle, these dogs, like a golden retriever that's mixed with a poodle, or a Labrador retriever mixed with a poodle, and then any other dog breed that just, is mixed with a poodle. And, I talked a lot about how, yeah, we kind of dog on mixed breed dogs under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, and me, Evan Strong, as the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, certainly, because we advocate for good breeding, proper breeding. I talk about it how God commands us not to do things, not just because he doesn't want us to do things, but because of how good it is on the other end. If we kind of say that, pretty harsh things about mixed dogs without being mean, we're just saying, well, how good it is to have really healthy, purebred dogs. Just that word, pure, right? Purebred standard poodles, that's what we specialize in. So just stick around. It'll be just crazy. I will just keep talking about it. I love dogs so much. I love dogs so much. And, there's a lot of lives that will be entirely changed in so many ways through what we do. Oh, man. I'm downplaying it. I'm not even kidding. Man. Okay. just know where my heart's at with this. I mean, know that I knew before it happened for the sake of God, not for my sake. But that's what these are. These are journal entries. These are testimonies of we can really get spoken to by God about things to come before they do, without being some kind of prophet, trying to claim that we're, prophesying of the future. But no, in our own lives, things that we just get told by God are coming for us, being given to us, just haven't come yet. We can know these things, and you will see. I mean, it's my calling. I talked about that when I very first announced In the Image Clothing Company, what at the time was dogs. And then I changed it to In the Image Clothing Company poodles specifically. We still, yeah, it's just is what it is, bro. At the very start, when I very first said that on In the Image Clothing Company podcast, I talked about, and there's an episode that's titled that, something like In the Image Clothing Company Dogs. I think that's actually what it's titled. And somewhere around that time period, at least, I was saying if it's like my calling. It's like people who end up working with like rehabilitation of certain animals and wildlife, and they're just like, yeah, I finally found what I'm here to do. I mean, that's not only just being the founder of In the Image Clothing Company for me, Evan Strong, but that is specifically 1/4 of us here in the Image Clothing Company Poodles. I cannot overly explain. It would not be possible for me to. How big it'll be, what we do with poodles. And you'll just see. It's, shoot. It's one of those things, bro. It's like, I couldn't even cut the video today. I was making that video. What is a golden doodle? Just to kind of explain it and explain proper breeding to a degree, or not what is a golden doodle, but what is a doodle in general. It's like, I couldn't cut that video. I mean, I kept like trying to wrap it up, and then I was saying in the video, like, I just don't want to leave this, I mean, it's been months since I've really made many videos at all on In the Image Clothing Company Poodles. And that's one of those, things I was looking back on today. I was looking at some of the videos I made back in March of 2025. That's, March 2nd. I remember saying that date like 8+ times, give or take, somewhere around there at least, somewhere around 8 times, maybe, right? 5 to 8 ish. I think it was like 7 or 8 times. I made that many videos. They were like a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes long, give or take, where I just talked about how, one of them was like, we will always be microchipping all of our dogs, right? We will always health test every dog we put through In the Image Clothing Company Poodles breeding program. And then, these like kind of core values. This was the 2nd of March, 2025. I made these videos on In the Image Clothing Company Poodles. They're still there as of right now. I mean, I looked at them before I filmed this episode, before I sat down here to film what I'm saying right now, okay? Episode 166 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, titled Your Life is a Journal. Okay. If that's what it's titled exactly, however I worded it at first, or whatever it's actually worded, it's something just like that. The point is, it'll be so big what we do with poodles, man. And we can go to state parks, and just hang out in Utah, just see some beautiful scenery with the dogs. We can really advocate for taking care of the environment and do it through the avenue of our poodles. We can have products that really help dogs with health issues like spinal problems that have come from just heavy collars, imbalanced collars for all of their life. You just picture a dog wagging its tail, and its tail is its spine. Its tail is essentially the base of its skull, and its collar is placed on its neck. As the dog wags its tail, its whole spine is moving, and placed on that spine is often a very imbalanced, right, uncentered, heavy collar. And there's just so much more to it than just the simplicity of that, but that in itself could just be an entire company of just selling dog collars alone, that are just centered and don't alter the dogs. I mean, you can take years off of the lifespan of a dog just from something like that. So this is what I'm saying. I could not, golly. I'm upset with myself, and not in some kind of like self-punishing way, but in all seriousness, I know that I don't deserve what's coming, and I know it's coming. It's crazy. And so that's why I get upset with myself. Like, it's like I'm not taking myself seriously enough, you know? It's like when I get prompted to talk about certain things that I'm supposed to talk about, I'm like, all right, God, I'll do it, but only a little bit. I don't want to just sit here and ramble on about this, but I'm holding myself back with what God wants me to do. Up until right now, I have been, at least with certain things, like in the Image Clothing Company poodles, because we don't have poodles of our own yet. But there are still videos that I can make, and there are still ways that we can do this until Nita comes, right? My first standard poodle, and then from there we'll just we'll have more dogs as we go. So just know, I mean, that's what God is saying is just tell him, whoever it is that ever listens to anything on the other end of In the Image Clothing Company, just let them know. Let them know how big it will really be before it happens. Just keep talking about it. Just keep mentioning it. Just keep talking about it. And okay. I mean, this is my repentance. And I was saying it today. I'm like, I'm sorry. I have been holding this back to a degree. And like I said earlier within this, nothing can stop God. That was my whole, I'm going to sit on this for a second, which I do at times. I say something that I just kind of need to sit in or sit on and let us kind of like soak in. That's what that was in this episode is nothing can stop God. And not that me, I'm not going to say more on that right now, other than I just need to be obedient. I need to just push it even more when I'm prompted to. And I'm sorry, it's repentance. I'm not apologizing to anybody but God. But I'm saying it public to kind of, again, just, document this. I mean, you'll see. Because so much of it will just be me with a dog. And it'll be Nita, at first, for as long as I have her. And then, as I go forth, just the rest of my life with poodles. So much of what In the Image Clothing Company will be for my entire life is just me and a beautiful standard poodle by my side. And so much will come with that. I mean, you will just be able to see it as it comes. I mean, there's so many people in life that feel so left out, and what they need is a dog. And sometimes not even a dog of their own, but they just need to see a dog. They just need to pet a dog. They just need to see the temperament of a dog and know that they can be more like that. More free in their expression and in their everything. I mean, it's so crazy what all we're going to be allowed to do with this. Who all we're going to be allowed to be involved with company-wise and oh, shoot. Just know that I knew before it happened. Know that I was doing, what I could at least, even in times when I wasn't being fully obedient and I was holding myself back. I've been doing what I can to really, I've been doing it well. I have. That's God correcting me right there, yeah. To just talk about this before it comes, I don't think that a lot of people really understand all that there is to dogs, I mean, I know that that's the case with a lot of people. And dogs, a lot of occupations and jobs could not even be done without dogs. Sheep dogs and cattle dogs, service dogs. Like I'm saying, I mean, there's some people that couldn't even go outside of the house without their dog. They've got crippling medical conditions, psychological post-traumatic stress disorder type stuff from, war situations or abuse in ways. And they can't even physically step outside their own house without their dog by their side. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. It's not about cute puppies and so that we can take some cute photos and make some videos to get more views on something. No. And like a hard no. It's a movement, dude. I mean, it's in such a way that I can't explain it too much. I mean, I could just talk about it solely. Our entire company could only be In the Image Clothing Company poodles. And you'll just see how we approach this, how deep we get into this, and all the sides that there really are and that come with what it really means to be In the Image Clothing Company poodles. And this is my journal entry, I guess, as of the 7th of, it's like It's like, yeah, I must finish saying this. The 7th of October, 2025. This is my journal entry on saying what I'm saying here about this that needs to be said right now. I felt this out there today in the field, filming that video. What is a doodle? I just had so much to say that needs to be said in this time period before time goes on any farther. I guess any further is how time goes on. Furthering time. When Jesus Christ was in the crowd of people and the woman with the issue of blood touched the hem of his garment, and she had faith that she didn't even need to touch him, and he didn't need to heal her in some way of putting his hands on her, but if she could just touch the hem of his garment, then she would be cleansed and be healed of her issue of blood, as it says, that she suffered with for 12 years. And when she touched his garment, he said, without knowing who did it, because he was just walking, well, without actually seeing who did it, he knows all things, he said, "Who touched me?" And he says, "I felt that power went out of me," or "I felt that virtue went out of me," or whatever translation it says. He felt something leave him, and he turns around and there's the woman on the ground healed just from having the faith that if she could touch his garment, she would be. And just that explanation of power going out of God in the flesh, Jesus Christ, or virtue going out of him, that's kind of this feeling I'm getting right now where it's like I'm drained, and not in a bad way, but when you're using your power, and that's what I'm correlating right now with speaking right now about In the Image Clothing Company poodles, in all the ways that I just said what I said about it, and the depth that I just explained about what's to come with it. Okay? So just know how big it really is. For some reason. I mean, the whole thing is you'll see. It's the same thing as I say when I say don't believe me. I mean, I'm not trying to hype it up. Like, make some kind of, like, thing about it as if, like, get so excited because I've got a plan on my own. And I want that to be such a mocking sounding voice because that's not what I'm doing. But God has some things he's going to do through this. And he wants me to make it known before it happens. And I've just needed to be saying this stuff. And so here I am saying this stuff. And I said a lot of this, months back. But first of all, nothing has changed except for deepening. And then the second part of it is the deepening. It's like I'm drained in such a good way. It's like, I mean... It makes me so emotional, man. I picture like kids with special needs and what dogs do for those kids, and oh man. I mean, people who just about would never go on a canyon drive when they live so close to the canyon, but they just rather go to like a movie theater because they don't really know what they do in the mountains, but that's where they really want to be. That's where their heart's set. But, they don't really know why they'd go up there, and they can't really justify it just to see the mountains, even though that's what they want to go there for, is to be in God's nature. Well, people with a dog, they go up there, and they get to watch their dog just frolic through the grass that just naturally grows, and just play in the streams. And that's what I mean by poodle parade events, bro. When I say they'll just be for fun. I mean, even if I didn't give a single piece of information at any of them at all. Just having fun, just getting into God's earth, man. Just getting in nature, and the dogs love it. The dogs just help us feel like kids again, man. I mean, dogs just connect us with our roots. Dogs bring the big macho man down to be a little kid. Like I said in just an episode or two back of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. I just don't think that I just kind of, one day started into In the Image Clothing Company poodles as a silly, fun, cute puppy breeding thing just for that, and then realized, oh, maybe we could do more with this. No, since the beginning, it's been this whole thing of God saying, Evan, you don't even know, but I'm going to give you an idea. This will change so many lives. And I'm just letting you guys know, whoever that is, whoever you guys is, I mean, even if it's 3 views, but if it's like billions, I'm saying it as of today's date. I'm just saying it. I'm just documenting. It's just a journal entry. I'm just here, and you just see it after it happens. That's what I'm saying. We look back on the things that God did, and that's how we just know who God is because what he has done, because he doesn't change. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. And he did some crazy things in our past, and we look back on it like, man, are you kidding me? You did that for me? Why? I mean, that's really what it does for me. It's like, why would you do that for me? I'm just sitting here talking about poodles. And I can't even explain to you how I know why I'm talking about it as deep as I am. But I don't need to. That's the point. All I need to do right now is say it, and you'll see it when it happens. It's not some hope of mine. I don't have some kind of like big dream about like, I don't know, dude. It's God's will, and you will, you'll see it, bro. I don't even care if you care. I do not. I gotta do what I gotta do, bro. It's crazy. I went to the shelter 2 days ago and just sitting there with these dogs. I've been to that shelter a lot. The South Utah Valley Animal Shelter here in Utah County, state of Utah, the United States of America. Just walking through and seeing these dogs, and they should not be in there. Most all these dogs are just amazing dogs. They're just in there for the wrong reasons. They're in there because people don't know the extent of what they could with the information we give under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles on how to be a good owner of a dog. How to keep your dog in your yard, in your possession. How to keep information in your dog, microchipping your dog. There's technology that just didn't exist even decades ago that it saves lives, literally. I mean, just think about the person whose life gets saved if their service dog, who has gone through years of training to actually prevent them from having seizures or psychological breakdowns, gets back to their home when it ends up in a shelter. Otherwise, you know what I'm saying? Or like, because we gave information on how to get the dog back to the home, now this person's life is saved because when they start having some kind of like breakdown and otherwise they might literally go into cardiac arrest or have some seizure that's like life altering, we get their dog back to them. It takes years to train dogs to do this kind of stuff, to literally save lives of human beings. This is the kind of stuff I'm saying that we do under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles. It's not some kind of silly thing. And I don't know if anybody thinks that it is, but I just have to make it so clear that it's not. This is where my heart's at. My heart is in this so deep. You'll just see it as time goes. So just know it. I knew it since I knew it. I knew it since you can look back and see I documented it. That's what this is. That's what this is right now. It is a journal entry, bro. I'm in this to save lives, bro. It's not some kind of silly thing about fashion for clothing. It's not some kind of silly thing about cute little puppy dogs that you don't care about when they get bigger and just gotta ship off to someone else. This is to change lives. This is eternal truth, dude. Oh my gosh. This is about knowing what you're supposed to do and just doing it. Even though you don't know how it's gonna happen, just knowing it will because God says so. Oh, this is that settling I'm talking about. This is that virtue coming out of me that I'm talking about. And this is where it is. And you don't see these kind of tears behind what I'm saying and this kind of passion behind what I'm saying sometimes unless it's just me yelling. Right? But there's emotion behind this. This is so deeply rooted. There's so much love behind this. There's so much that these dogs will do for us. This is what I'm talking about, dude. This is what I need. This is where I've been holding myself back, is this exact conversation. This has needed to come out. This is what God needed me to do with discussing In the Image Clothing Company Poodles and why we're really doing this, where our heart's really at with this. And I'm the founder, and this is where it's coming from. Oh my gosh. I'm just so grateful, man. And I've needed this cry too. I've needed this gratitude. That's what this is. It's just, God, I can't believe you're doing this for me. This sinner, this little kid is doing some crazy things, treating some people terrible in my life at this time and not knowing what I'm doing. And I'm scared at times, but I'm just trying so hard. I've needed this release of gratitude. Like, Father, I can't believe you still have me just making videos every day, and you still have me having all this progression in my life and the ways that you're having it in my physical body and just in my expression and my understanding and me getting more, we could say wise without being prideful. I'm getting more wise. I'm getting more mature, I'm just growing. I'm becoming more authentic and more just transparent. And I lived a life of hiding before, and I'm opening up. And this is the stuff that our dogs will help us do as a society, bro. It's gonna be crazy. A lot of people just don't understand the roles the dogs play. They don't see stuff besides maybe just like their neighbor's dog. They don't know that dogs really cause, the difference between life and death in so many lives of human beings. This is so real. It's so deep. It's so real, dude. It's so crazy. It's almost hard for me to even accept. And you'll just see it as time goes. You don't gotta care. You don't gotta think that I even am saying anything here that matters. I don't know where you're coming from specifically. Anybody who's hearing me say this right now, but just know there's a reason for all of this. Know that I've struggled so much to get where I'm at right now, and I'm just trying so hard to do this in the way that God needs it done. Just know that it's so real. There's a reason I say it. It's not just some kind of like claim, but blunt, bold, raw, and real. There's a reason I throw those words in there when I talk about who we are under In the Image Clothing Company. Our values. The goal is natural, right? There's a reason for all this. Letting dogs stay natural. It's just so deep, man. I don't just have some idea or a concept for something. And I'm not like trying to say that people are saying that, and I wish you'd say it. No, it's just that I have to make it clear for the sake of the testimony of I knew it before it happened. For the sake of Jesus Christ, for the sake of personal revelation and the truth of that being something that we get. God tells us things personally. It's just so real. It's as real as it gets. It's as obvious as it is once you see it. I say these phrases for a reason, man. And this is my journal entry on this. This is the whole thing about it, is I'm just talking, bro. I'm just sitting here delivering information, doing all I can to align my life with truth. And there's a reason to it, and it just will happen. You don't have to believe any of it. You don't have to care. You don't have to do anything about anything at all, but I'm doing it. And you'll see why. I've been picturing it in a silly way. I mean, I want to make this lighthearted. I'm crying out of good stuff. These are good, joyful tears of gratitude. It's so overwhelming in the best way. That I've been picturing, you see these like little like these villains in movies, it's like they've got some kind of big old evil plot, it's like you'll all see, it's like no one's taking them seriously, and so they do some kind of crazy big evil deed. I've been that phrase has been in my mind, but in a proper way. But so we can talk about it silly. Where, hold on, that's the real part of In the Image Clothing Company right there, bro. We are who we are, blowing the nose, but right next to the mic too. But it's kind of that same phrase, but in the sense of you don't have to care, but you just really will see. Everyone will. Anything that I've said, whether they were disputing it or they were on board, that phrase is for myself as well. The whole like, you'll all see, like a point-proving thing. It's not that I'm trying to prove a point at all, but I need to document so that we can show forth the power of God when he works in the lives of those that do all that they can to try their best in their sinful ways, like me, Evan Strong, chronic sinner. He moves in our lives when we're just trying. I'm trying to serve God. I'm trying to align my will with what he needs this to be. And it's so beautiful to have this documentation for myself as well, for my own kids and my grandkids. Like I was saying, they can look back at episode 166 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, this one here, and then they can look at what all has come after this and be like, man, yeah, that's cool. That's so funny to say it in that voice, because that's how I feel right now. It's like, this is cool, God. I feel like a little kid, like, Wow. I mean it. I'm going to blow my nose again right here. Blow your nose centered, by the way. The importance of even nostrils, a video under the main site of the Image Clothing Company. Really, that's a big thing for the entire body as a whole. But, if I get through the rest of this intro without it cutting, then cool. If not, if this stops, then maybe the storage space, you know, I don't know how much there is for sure, as of right now, is what I'm saying, okay? But I'm so grateful. Before I move on, that was me expressing gratitude. Those tears were my gratitude, but just very, very clearly explaining that's what those tears were, is tears of gratitude, okay, to Jesus the Christ, my God, our God, as his children, a collective of all the human race, okay? But the last fourth to mention is In the Image Clothing Company music. And I show the sizing and setup of guitars to not alter the hands, like the neutral wrist that then travels through the whole body, like those rounding hand arches that mesh with the arches in our feet. When I say mesh, I mean just correlate. Okay, I do a lot of lyricism. And yes, there are a lot of similarities in the hands and the feet. They're just about the exact same thing, really, in their operations, okay? There's only one difference in the amount of bones, and they both have neutrals straight out from the pinkies, the pinky toes, and the pinky fingers. Okay, so sizing and setup of guitars. Little Red, the guitar here, is a 3/4 size Johnson JG610R with nylon strings that I put on him, okay? But Metronome Madness, I go off the top with lyricism, okay? I do a lot of rap, rhythm and poetry, wordplay, spoken word, okay? I make a lot of music, I sing, I do what I do, gearing it in all the ways that I do, just around truth, around the gospel of Jesus Christ, in all the ways that I can. I'm imperfect, brother. Remember that. Tattoo that on your forehead. So every time you look in the mirror, take a look at yourself, and when you're judging me, realize Evan Strong is imperfect, right? Always, okay? So clothing for everybody has to sit in the same location. Pants have to be entirely above the hips, so they're not restricting the functionality of the hips at our natural waist, okay? Below our lowest ribs, but above the hip bones, and then slightly higher in the front than the rear, because that's how we keep our core activated, our abdominal muscles and our hamstrings, keeping our body neutral and vertical on Earth's gravity. And then we have tops we wear. The seams on top of our shoulders need to sit evenly behind the peak of our shoulders. Our shoulders mechanically just only ever work behind our head. That's where they connect, and they follow shoulder seams. Button-ups just have this double band of, stitching. It's a band of material is what I mean that sits behind the shoulders. And then the edges of our tops should just sit as close as we can get to the edges of our shoulder joints, because that's where the joint of the shoulder is, and it's a joint of material of our top as well. Okay, they need to mesh in the same location if we can, as close as you can get. Firstly, to the two prerequisites we have under In the Image Clothing Company to not alter the body is shoelacing. We're just weaving ropes across the mechanics of the tendons, ligaments, muscles, and bones that make up the gripped arches in our feet that oppose the center line, gripping inward and keep us vertical on Earth's gravity. There's only one way to shape a weave of a rope across the top of our feet and not alter their mechanics, traveling through our whole body. Okay, we tie shoes as well, and we need to tie them evenly over toward the center line of the body on both sides. Just because there's two sides, there's opposition, right? And there you go. That will need to be had for the entire body, to the tip of the head and the tips of the fingers. And then secondly, to shoelacing, our other prerequisite under In the Image Clothing Company is to remove all tags from clothing. Anywhere a tag is placed in clothing, it's just new, as of decades old, but it's causing a physical gap, changing the body's only working position and or just not allowing musculature to activate. Then compensation tries to happen, but the body is just all one. It all has to work activated as a whole. Everything has a role to play, so it can't compensate. Okay. There you go. That's our intro, placed right near the end of this. This is Little Red, the guitar. I came into this with a freestyle. This is capoed on the 7th fret. So don't fret. Unorthodox, non-traditional, bro. The dynamic of a human being. Life is a ride. Life's just a journal, bro. Your life is a journal. Just remember that. Just remember that. Thank you. The 7th of October, 2025. Stick around for the poodles. Yeah. You know where my heart's at with it, right? After what I've explained. Red's out of tune. Red's really out of tune. Alright. Shoot. Something about it, bro. Being a little bit off tempo, being a little bit out of tune, metronome madness, right? I mean, it's crazy. It's just crazy, dude. Life's crazy, bro. Something you can never expect. That's what I'm saying. Makes the best journal entries. Shoot. So. We just grant God grants us some crazy things, bro. Man. Keep your feet flat on the ground, the importance of zero drop shoes, man. Just some simple things in life, bro. I mean, that was just so beautiful, man. Being able to just express all that, being able to cry through that was crazy. I mean, that was just, that's what I needed, man. Just being able to cry like that, explain what I did through that. I mean, just show the authenticity behind where I'm at with this. I mean, why we're really here. I have anything I could do in my life. Why am I doing this? I mean, well, you don't got to question, bro, because I've documented it, because I've explained it in ways where you can just see, you can just tell. I mean, it's one of those like, oh, I get it. Yeah, this kid is actually really passionate about what he's doing. Yes. And there's no way you could not know that. And that's what we call a gift of video. And that's the point of documenting all this stuff, man. That's really the point. That's really the point. Shoot. I mean, it's like, oh gosh, it's like how it's sounding. It's coming across as it is. That's the whole thing about it. That's the whole reason for doing this. I'm still here when the camera gets cut off, Your friends are still there after they close the door and drive away. I mean, that's what I've said with this since the very founding. We're not distant. That's what it really means to be authentic. Is you're not putting on a show just because the camera's on. I mean, you just are who you are, regardless. That's really what it means to be you. Lupe Fiasco, right? The song Superstar by him. And if you are who you say you are, a superstar, then have no fear, the camera's here. Well, I'm not here to put on a show, just like get all hyped up before the camera starts rolling and like pretend to be this person I'm not. The whole point is the more we do this, the deeper we get to being our authentic self. The more open I am about things, the more I get opened up into the raw center of Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. All that I can do always to lead this out of just me being me will help this just be the best version of this that it could be. I'm doing all I can, man. I'm just as human as anybody else. I don't claim to be in any kind of different, like, level. And there are levels to things, and in ways, kind of, yes. I'm on a deeper level of understanding with certain things, for example, right? A different level of maturity can be had in people, but at the same time, we're all just equals. And it just is what it is. It's just life, dude. And a lot of people aren't living theirs, even though they're here on Earth, like, right? I don't care what I have, I've said it often, like, I'm content being just in a jail cell as long as I'm me, I mean, I've got God and that's it, it's not my intention to try to get gain in this life, but there's things we can gain in this life, experience and progression in our own being, and deepening to things. Thank you.